Welcome back to DadSchooled Podcast.com. I don't know why I did .com. It's from the throwbacks to those commercials. Remember those? No?
Which one?
Any of them that said .com. I can't remember which one it was
I
now.
think that was
terrible.
That was like a phase there for a while when internet was new and you just threw .com at the end of whatever your company was, and yeah.
And they became successful, so I figured if I added .com to the end of ours, we become successful.
That's in every business plan ever.
It is. All right. So today, when I was putting together this, I'm not going to say script, but outline of what we would talk about, normally I'm like topic, call out dad, topic, and after the intro. But the intro and topic kind of bled together into like the overarching idea. So I moved the call out dad to be first. I didn't want to be negative, right off the bat. And it's not a positive one today. Sorry, guys. It's a negative one with a positive, uplifting message. But I wanted to just, brace and get our 0 viewers ready for this exact depressing intro instead of coming right off the bat and saying blah, 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 blah. Okay, talk about fun things. Just wanted to give you a little context to that. So I'm just gonna start right into it. I'm gonna be very vague because of the internet, and I don't know if this person knows me or not, and I don't want to like be that guy who's just a jerk to people all the time, even though people who know me are like, but you are that guy sometimes, Josh. Like, yes, I know. But so there was a situation very, very recently that my wife and I experienced. We weren't like directly involved, but we were like at arms poking distance when it first started. And then we saw it from a couple of feet away after that. And it was a son losing control of his emotions. A son, and he was, I don't know ages very well. Let's just call him 7, 8, maybe. And I get that there could have been something more involved with his mental state. I don't know all the details. I'm just going to say it off the bat. But the appearances on the outside are what I'm addressing and how the parents handled it. The kid lost it. And it was a situation where they were doing some sports activity. They didn't get the result they wanted. And it wasn't even a game. It was a practice. Kicking a ball around kind of scenario. And they were mad about the outcome. And they lost it. We're talking pulling grass up, throwing grass, screaming bloody murder, getting the ball, and point blank kicking the ball into the dad. And then stomping around and screaming like a crazy kid. Now, I get kids play, and I get all that stuff. This was beyond that, and it was very obvious. There was an issue. And the parents, like I said, I don't know what's going on in their world, right? But they were very, I'm going to ignore this situation, and it'll go away. That was their mindset. It was just going to, yeah. It's okay that you just kicked the ball at me full force from a foot away out of anger in a public setting with other kids and parents watching. That's what I'm here to address and say we shouldn't do that. Now, like I said over and over again, I don't know the situation. There could be some deep-rooted issues in that child's life or that family's, existence. I don't know. And maybe they deal with this on a daily basis, and this is the best scenario that could have happened. Possibly. But it reminded me of a couple things that I think, I'm not judging the dad, and I don't know what's going on, but his actions spurred this whole thing on for me. Like it was it was ignoring the problem, and it was like, this is my life. You can almost see it on his face, like he's dead inside. I'm gonna ignore this problem. I know there's problems in my kid's life. I'm gonna ignore them. Maybe that's the best, like I said, the best you could do right there, because you can't do it all the time. But I wanted to call it out because I'm not a perfect dad, but if my kid was losing his cool over something silly, I would correct it. I would be like, "Hey, listen, you need to calm down. Let's take a walk. Do some kind of action to get the kid under control." And it's not like you can't control a kid. I get that 100% of the time, but you can help with correction. You can be like, "This is not appropriate behavior. We don't kick balls at people out of anger. You know, we don't pull up grass and throw it around like we're crazy kids if we don't get our way." There's different things that you could probably say. And it remind me the stereotypical Proverbs 13:24 that people go to a lot of times when they talk about discipline. Whoever spares the rod hates his son. Whoever loves him is diligent to discipline him. Okay, and it's important to understand. People get all their tidy whities bunched up when you start bringing out this Bible verse because they're like, "You're talking about beating your kid with a rod." It's like, no. Back in the day, back in Jesus's day, a rod was a staff, shepherd's staff, not used to beat, but to guide and correct the shepherd's, sheep. The whole point is love and guidance, not cruelty, not beating someone senseless with a rod or a stick or go get a swatch from the backyard so I can beat you with it. No, it's to correct an improper action. And by doing so, you are showing the other person you care enough about their existence that they're not going to be a spoiled little brat in the future. So that was my dad call out today.
It's kind of like maybe
Jimmy.
I think like when you pick up a new some electronic toy or gizmo or something at the store and it's in demo mode, and it's just stuck in this very clipped routine of there's not any depth there, and it's just stuck in that mode. It's kind of like what it seems like that sort of experience was. And I think a lot of men in general, our default setting, so to speak, our demo setting is just going into passivity and just check out. You mentioned like that whole like just dead look and just totally deflated. And maybe there is a lot going on in that dad's life that we're not aware of, and feeling deflated is something I think hits all of us. But whenever a circumstance like that pops up, like, what is your response? Is it something that I can take this moment and use it as a beneficial moment? Or am I just going to completely check out and just pretend like nothing's happening? And maybe if I hunker down low enough, it'll all just go away. And that's an unfortunate way to live your life. And it's not going to help raise your kid up in a way that's going to develop character and integrity for them in the future.
And now, I will take that one step further because you actually brought up something that triggered a memory in my head here. So, and correct me if I'm wrong here, Jimmy. Can I assume for you, as a fellow guy, a fellow dad, that if you are experiencing an issue in your household and there's confrontation, do you default to like I just said this and I'm right? Possibly. I'm not saying maybe not right is the word, but you are your way or the highway mentality at all in a conversation, and then when you don't get your way, or it's like you can't have, like, maybe, I'm not saying your wife argues with you about how you raise your kids, but if there was a disagreement in the moment, do you switch to that passivity mode just to go along with the peace, or do you push back? I'm probably asking this in a weird way.
Yeah, no, I know, and it's absolutely been something that I realized a long time ago, and still I'm not perfect. Passivity is my default mode if I'm not careful. Okay. And I shrink back. I do. I just like, kind of like I don't care. And I have to fight that. I really do. I have to fight passivity mode.
Because when you were saying that, I was thinking about that guy. I was like, okay, so he's probably fought this battle before, right? And then the outcome wasn't anything desirable. So now his default in this situation was passivity, right? I was just thinking, like, for me personally, if there's a situation in my house, and like you stated, we're not perfect, and I'm definitely not perfect, but if there was a strong-willed situation where my kid was not wanting to do something, I remember back in the day, one of my girls did not want to eat a certain type of food, okay, and it was so bad that she put it in her mouth, and then she realized what she put in her mouth, and she did one of these like kind of things, but she holds her mouth open and is like all the spittle drooling out, and she's crying, and she's like, I don't want to, I'm gonna spit it out. I'm like, don't you spit it out, don't you spit it out, swallow your food, you finish that. And that was like a dumb argument, right, as a parent. But when it didn't work out, and my wife was like, just let her spit it out, it's not a big deal, then I was like, I either pushed back, which I ended up doing, and it was a bad situation, I was stupid, or I just went shrink back. Now it's like, it'll take, maybe I've gotten to routine more of, I might think they should do something in a situation, like they should try this food, they should finish all things on their plates, they should eat all this dinner before they have dessert. I'm just using these as examples. I don't know what the actual real things are we're doing, but I've actually been conditioned myself, not by my wife, but by myself, not to have conflict so much in those situations that I will instantly go to passive mode. And that's what I was, I kind of want to call that out so other dads out there can think about that. Like, what are you going into passive mode about? Should you be in passive mode? What's the point of passive mode? That kind of goes hand in hand, although the title and the feeling doesn't jive with the rest of this podcast episode. I think there are some takeaways from the rest of this podcast that you can apply to this as well. This problem of passivity in your household, in your life, and it has a lot to do with your mentality of how you are present, how you are stepping up or stepping back in your role as a dad. So let's dive in. Keep that in mind, all you listeners out there, as we continue forward, because I think that we can probably apply a lot of these principles that we're about to talk about to this exact problem as well, and they kind of go across our lives as dads. A lot of times, if you check out and you step back, or if you shrink back and you get in your phone and you just ignore problems, they can compound and you can slip into this passivity mode. So, with that being said, cue the great transition music, Jimmy. There you go. Okay, so topic. We had a big moment this past week, this Monday in my household. I know not every household is experiencing this as early as mine probably, but it's coming. So I feel like we're leading the charge. And my wife must have strategically planned it this way, so we would lead the charge so all you guys can listen to this before you experience it. That's my thought. We had our first day of school. Now, as most of you guys know or don't know, we homeschool our kids. So we can kind of pick what that first day of school is whenever we want. There are some laws and regulations in Missouri and how many hours and times you're supposed to start really. But we get to choose it, and we chose Monday. And it was great. I got my new Blackstone grill out. We did the sausage, bacon, eggs, funfetti pancakes, which is basically normal pancakes mixed with cake batter mix, and then you put sprinkles in it. So there's little confetti. I don't know if that's like an actual thing or if that's a known thing, but my wife makes them. They're pretty good. So yeah, we grilled those up. Had a big breakfast. My wife, she puts together, a big, I'm not going to say a spread, but it's a spread. She has a tablecloth on the table. There's all the kids' books for the year. There's stickers. They have notebooks. They can decorate their notebooks with stickers. Last year, they decorated their water bottles with stickers. She made little T-shirts for them that has our street name on it with a corgi and the established date of 2017, which I did not know that was the date we established our homeschool, but apparently we did. I'm like, it's not 2017. Why'd you put that on the shirt? It's 2025. Then I was explaining that people put established, dates on shirts. Like, oh, okay. And it says Academy on it, and so it was really cool. I liked it. I didn't get one. I wish I had a shirt. I was actually bummed about it. I didn't get a shirt.
The principal didn't get a shirt.
The principal did not get a shirt. I usually wear like the The
Hoodie?
no, what's the hangman's uniform? Like
The executioner?
the executioner
That's
uniform.
what that's your usual school uniform?
That's the usual school uniform. But yeah, it was a great event. My wife, she's I don't want to say self-conscious about this, but she was fretting about all this video stuff. She has a video blog. She was recording the first. She always does a great job with her start of year videos. She did another one. She hasn't put it out yet, but they're always excellent. I love watching them every single year. I go back and watch them all the time. Actually, I love watching them. This is fun memories to have. And so she was doing the recordings for different sections of the day, all day, explaining what we're doing, and it's very helpful to other homeschool families to watch these kind of things. And, anyways, it's a whole thing. And I just love that whole day. It's always a fun day. The kids have gotten into routine. We're on day 3 of this school year already, and they're doing their schoolwork, having their routines and schedules, and it's great. So that was our first day. Long-winded intro, sorry.
That's all good.
But it's all about, I think, my wife does an excellent job with this, and I do an excellent job of trying to destroy this, I think. But she does an excellent job of making memories. And I'm always like, the big dumb stomping through, yell at the kid at this time to kill the memory, But she does a great job of thinking about creating those memories. We did the whole standard family photo at the doorstep. Like, you don't have to be a public school attendee to have a first day of pictures, at the front door. So we take pictures and then they go back inside. Says the school bus says go back inside, and that's it. You're at school, yay!
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, that's the point of this. The topic overall that we finally got to, making memories, traditions, and why those traditions are important, and how, as a dad, you can help with that. And it's more important than you think it is. It's not some silly thing your wife, fusses about and you have to roll your eyes and not be a part of. This is actually really important for your kids. Like, you need to understand this. So buckle up, and Jimmy's going to tell you all about this.
Yeah. Well, I mean, every household is different, and everyone's got a different tradition or way that it goes. But I'm sure that there's a handful of husbands, dads out there that, like Josh's wife, comes up with super creative ideas, has a lot of fun ways of making the event stand out. And I think it could be easy for a lot of us dads out there to, again, accidentally go into that default demo mode.
Yes.
Of there's 3 options that you just rotate through those 3. And one of them being the eye roll or the huff and puff. Why are we doing this? I don't have time, or,
how much did that cost?
Right. Exactly. Yeah. This is one of those times where you want to, if you can, resist those urges and actually just jump in. Like, the first days of school only happen, once a year. And your first days of school for yourself, I mean, those are long gone. But it's a big step for each of your kids, like getting started, whether it's homeschool or public school or somewhere in the middle. Getting started at the beginning of the next year, that's a milestone. Your kids are growing, your kids are learning, and having dad check in and be part of that experience, be part of whatever is exciting for them. This is a great opportunity to speak life, impart some of your own dadly wisdom, but just be an encouragement to them, because you only get them for so long. So this is one of those built-in times on your calendar where you can do a small thing that actually has a really big impact. Like, anytime, if you're an investor, I don't pretend to be, but anytime you see something where it's like, I can put in a small effort, but have a massive gain. Like, this is one of those times where this is a day on the calendar. It's already a big event in their heart and their mind. And they're already excited. So I can just put in a small, little bit more energy into this thing that's already spinning fast. And my little bit of energy input is going to make that output even bigger. Like, yeah, like, jump in on that. So yeah,
Your analogies are great. Like,
aren't they?
as a rocket scientist, I'm not. But as a rocket scientist, you want to make sure the rocket goes up and not
It's
down. So as a
generally,
dad, you
yeah.
should go up in your kid's life and not down. As a rocket scientist, I'm not though.
Well, yeah, trajectory's going this way. You wanna go with it
You want to
because
align yourself with the
you knock it out of
trans-continental direction.
alignment. Uh-huh. I was on a roll.
I mean, it was brownies last week, and now it's investments this week. I love it.
Yeah. So like, I mean, we don't really have any huge regular traditions for first day of school. Ours hasn't started yet. I get, well, I don't know. We're another homeschool family. School doesn't ever really stop for us. We still did like math and Latin just to keep
Pulling
those
that
in
card out.
particular. Like,
We actually never
though,
stopped.
I mean, it just always is kind of floating in the background. It's like, hey,
Right.
we've got some spare time. Let's go do a little bit. Like, it's not part of a massive part of the day, but we try to keep our brains a little bit not foggy. But our co-op starts in a couple weeks, and so that's our official, like, school is starting. So we do have a time where we go and get to be part of community. So yeah, like, what are things that can be done to make those days a little more special or stand out or a little more fun? I remember when I was a kid, first day of school for me was always sometime toward the end of summer. We'd go get new school clothes and new supplies. Get the pencil box, the crayons.
Open them up, and
Gosh,
you're
that smell of a new box of crayons is like the best smell ever. But yeah, those are simple little moments that are going on in your kid's life. But as a dad, like, you could jump in and be encouraging, be active, be present, enjoy those moments with your kids. So we do those fun first day photos, just like in our living room, just kind of pose. Sometimes we get the chalkboard out, and sometimes we don't. But we don't have anything like super big or fancy that we do. One of my favorites, and I don't know if this was a first day of school story, and it was my grandma. It wasn't my grandpa that did this, but dads, feel free to steal this one. I love this. I love this thing. It happened to my dad when he was at school one time. His mom packed his lunch for him, I think most days for school. And one time he goes and takes a bite out of his sandwich and can't bite through it. And he can't get through whatever, his sandwich. He takes a look back at it, and there's an index card that his mom stuck into the sandwich, pulls it out. It's just a little note saying, "I love you, son." So
I love you, teeth mark.
Yeah, exactly. So those are, the fun little things you could do to just helps brighten your child's day, make their lunchtime a little more awkward. Maybe hide the real sandwich lower in the bottom of the lunchbox because they might want to throw that one away.
That is a good school memory for me. Like, at the time, like, I brought my lunch every day to school. Like, I think I can count on my hand the number of times I bought my lunch at school. My parents didn't put money into our accounts. They didn't, at the time when I first started school, there was no accounts. It's just they give you money, right? Kids would be responsible enough to take the money themselves. Even in like kindergarten and first grade, we had money ourselves. I never did that. And it was super exciting the days I was able to do that. Like, my dad would give me a couple dollars, and that was enough, like $1.50 or whatever. It was enough to go to the school line, give the one lady who has the line of students out the hall to check out before they go into the cafeteria. That was super stressful for me. Like, it was exciting, but getting that line and having to give her money, like, the first time, I didn't do that very much, like, ever, right? But back to my memory. Sorry, I'm getting off track. I brought my lunch every single day. And at the time, I didn't appreciate that. Like, the love and caring and whatnot that went into my mom or dad every single day packing a lunch for me, so I didn't starve, right? Now, I can imagine the days I was a little snot, how difficult that probably was for my mom not to have been like, "Enjoy your sandwich." She's making it, and breaking things in my lunchbox. All his chips, enjoy that. She didn't. And she actually wrote funny little notes to me sometimes. She didn't put it in my sandwich. She put it on top of my sandwich.
She missed an opportunity.
Right. And she's probably like, oh, that'd be a great idea. eat half the message. Why not get half a message? But no, that's a great way, silly little things in there. A piece of candy. Like, we didn't have a lot growing up, but we had enough. Putting a piece of candy in your lunch, you're like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
But important, before we move on, it is important to understand how sending your kids off to school, whether it be public school or sending them off down to the next room for homeschool or to the co-op class down the hallway, there's a purpose behind this. You gotta get in the right mindset for this. So Psalm 127, 3-4. Behold, children are a heritage from the Lord, the fruit of the womb a reward. Like arrows in the hand of a warrior are the children of one's youth. Okay, so the first day is a part of that arrow shaping process. We are getting them ready for the world. School is not just something that you have to go through in order to get to the next level. There's a why behind it. There's a reason why we are teaching our kids scripture. There's a reason we're teaching them why you should not invade Russia in the winter, at school, because apparently people don't listen to history, and several times
keep doing it.
Yeah, they keep on trying to do it. It doesn't work out well for you. And you can't invade Russia in the middle of winter. Wait till the summer. It's a lot easier. Okay, but no one listens. So don't think of your kids as a nuisance. They're a heritage, a reward, and even in the back to school chaos that you're about ready to experience, like you said, dads, don't disconnect. Be present. And if you don't have anything in your house, this is your opportunity, Dad, to shine. You could come up with something. Make a new tradition. Make a big deal about it. Even making a little big deal about it. A little big deal. That's a real word. Is important because your kids will remember that.
Yeah. We're reminded in the Gospel of John there at the beginning, where it says, the Word became flesh and dwelt among us. And you can take that view out and zoom out through history of the world, biblical history, Old Testament in particular, and you see God being active in the life of his people, his chosen people, Israel. And he's present, he's active all throughout the history of Israel. But it's still this unseen presence. They've got the tabernacle as they wander through the wilderness, and God dwelt in the tents and all this, everything going on there. But it was Christ taking on flesh and coming and actually living life among them was such a massive turning point in all of human history, something that we all get to benefit from, for those of us that believe and follow. But taking massive theological thing, we're going to distill it down for dads. Showing up and being in the flesh in the moment with your kids, like, that's important. Like, yeah, you're around in the home, dwelling with your family, just kind of in the background, in normal mode maybe, but actually be like, show up in the moment, be there. The dad who is part of that daily routine, part of their kids' daily life, asking them questions. Hey, how's it going today? Who did you talk to? Hey, I remember you talking about your friend Sally, going, what's going on in her life, or you guys had a falling out. Did you get to talk to her today? Like actually being active in the story, the narrative of their life. Every day is a new page, a new chapter, or what, however you want to try to put that out there. But you can be part of that story. You can be part of each of those moments. First day of school is such a great opportunity to step into that trajectory they're already on, be part of that story with them,
and keep that momentum all year round, right? Like, you can start now. If you've been a quote unquote dirtbag dad in the past, if you've been absent, if you just are too busy, if work is too busy and that's more important than your family at the moment, now is your time to fix that. You can step back into their lives at any point in time. Now, whether they accept that or not, it's up to them, and that's between you and your relationship, and you probably pray about that with God and get right with some things if you're doing the wrong actions. So you can't control them if they don't accept it right away. But you can start. That's the first step. You can't force them, but you can start and you can control your own actions. So that's all you can do. Like Jimmy said, step into their lives. If that's a great reminder what you read about John. God thought we were important enough to come down and dwell with us, right? Like that's something. And if our Creator went through that effort to be closer to us, that we should model that as dads. We should take that to heart, and we should keep that in mind, even through tough times that we're dealing with in our lives. Being around, even if you think it's a waste of time. We've hammered this home at lots in this episode and lots in other episodes. Just being present, being around, playing that video game you don't want to play, throwing the ball outside if you don't want to throw the ball outside. You're going on a walk, walking the dog with the kids, walking the kids with the dog. However you do it, doesn't matter who wears the leash, as long as you're outside or doing something with your kid. That's all that matters.
Sure.
Yeah. So that's a challenge for you guys then. What are you going to do? Like right now, what are you going to do today? Not tomorrow, not this weekend when it's nice outside. Right now, what are you going to do today? If your kids have phones, you're going to text them, say, "Hi, I'm thinking about you. Hope you have a good day today." You text them and tell them, "I know it's early, but hey, I was thinking about you." Just that. I have times where I get those urges to text my dad. He's still with me for now, and I'm like, dang it, I'm losing all this opportunity to talk with my dad. That's the same. I'm losing all this opportunity now talking with my kids. I could be doing the same thing. I can be messaging them all the time. What are you gonna do? Eat breakfast together? Show up and pray with them before they start their day? Lots of things you can do. So what are you doing this week? That is a great tie into, messaging us at DadSchoolPodcast.com, going to our YouTube channel, going to our Facebook page, going anywhere that you can find DadSchoolPodcast.com, and leave us a note. Tell us what you'd started doing today. Tell us what you plan to do tomorrow. Tell us what problems you have in your fatherly journey. We would love to hear from you.
Yeah, show your kids how much you love them by subscribing to Dad School Podcast.
Your kid will love you even more, possibly, if you subscribe to things like DadSchoolPodcast.com.
That's right.
And if we were encouragement to you or your wife somehow today, wives, if we're encouraging to, if this is the picture of what you wish your husband was more like, he would love for you to send our link to him 100 times a day as a reminder, not to pester him, but just a reminder that he should subscribe and like to this podcast and listen to us, and then share us around with all the other friends. We don't mind. And if it's not the right audience, we don't care. Make them listen to us anyways. It'll be great. Yeah, everyone can use a little more DadSchoolPodcast.com in their lives today. Closing thoughts,
I know,
Jimmy?
I could. Subscribe, like, share, comment. What?
Yes. All the above.
Are those all the things you're supposed to say?
Till next time, we'll be here like we always are.
Waiting for you.
To subscribe and like. DadSchoolPodcast.com. Take care. See you next time.